This video isn't for the hopeless romantics. It's not for guys still sending good morning sunshine texts, thinking it's a pickup line and not a neon sign screaming, "I'm desperate." No virtual hugs, no cheesy life coach mantras, and definitely no fairy tale promises of winning her back. If you're the type who thinks getting ghosted means it's time to talk it out, do us both a favor. Close this video, grab a cozy blanket, and go practice being her doormat in peace. Because this is raw, it's surgical, it's no nonsense. This is for the guys who figured out that when a woman ignores you, she's not craving your attention, she's gunning for the remote control to your self-respect. And the only way to win her game? Play it like you've already beaten the final boss. Want to know what really twists a woman's ego into knots? It's not a long-winded text. It's not a screenshot. It's not some fake fling to make her jealous. That's amateur hour. The real gut punch is simple. Silence. Your silence. The kind of silence that doesn't beg, doesn't explain, doesn't send a good night emoji. The silence of a man she swore would come crawling back. A man she thought she had in her pocket. But now, poof, gone. No exit speech. No breadcrumbs. And now she's stuck. Replaying your old chats like a bad Netflix series. Stalking your socials. Searching for the spark you gave her without even trying. Why? Because she just learned the hard way. A man who ignores doesn't lose. He leaves scars. He becomes the bruise on an ego she thought was bulletproof. Oh, is ignoring her a crime now? Nah. But it's a scandal among the saps who think being sweet is a personality. Let's get real. Ignoring isn't cowardice. Begging for attention like your presence is pocket change, that's cowardice. Ignoring is the loudest roar from a man who doesn't need to raise his voice. It's self-respect with a ripple effect. And the best part, it doesn't need a caption, no blocking, no grand exit announcement. You just vanish. And her? She'll post that perfect selfie with a sappy song lyric, acting unbothered. But inside, she's unraveling. Because nothing crumbles a woman's world like the indifference of a man she thought she had on a leash. Today, I'm breaking down why ignoring isn't running away. It's a reckoning. One that hits without leaving fingerprints. Just pure, devastating impact. But before we dive into this ice-cold reality check, a quick heads up. This video's only in front of you because someone out there had the sense to hit like and subscribe. So do your part. Smash that button, drop a like, and if you're feeling it, toss a much respect in the comments, not for me, for the algorithm. That's how this wake-up call reaches more guys still stuck in fairy tale land. Enough romance. Let's get to the punch. Number 1. The myth of her untouchable importance. Let's talk about the greatest rom-com turned psychological thriller. The idea that every woman, just by existing, deserves a throne, a red carpet, and a sash that says, "Queen of your emotions." The last cookie in the jar? Bro, the whole jar's gone stale. And there you are, digging through the emotional dumpster, scavenging crumbs like they're gourmet truffles, chasing after someone who can't even spell reciprocity without a cheat sheet. Why does this happen? Because they've learned they don't have to give anything to get everything. They ghost, they tease, they play cold. And what does the nice guy do? Comes running back, tail wagging, with a pathetic, "Hey stranger" text, straight out of an emotional horror flick. There's always a desperate compliment waiting, a needy essay on standby, another attempt to inflate her ego like it's a party balloon. And they've cracked the code. The colder they act, the hotter you burn. The more they vanish, the harder you chase. Result? They've got you on a leash and you're grinning, thinking you're being Prince Charming. That's not love, it's premium-grade self-sabotage. The real tragedy? You still think chasing her is a flex. That persistence is noble. That proving your love to someone who ignores you is a badge of courage. Buddy, that's not courage. It's a PhD in bad decisions, with a standing ovation for effort. Here's the truth. That pedestal she's on, she didn't build it. You did. Every good morning gorgeous text that went unanswered. Every voice note explaining the obvious like she's emotionally illiterate. Every time you bent over backward just for her to yawn. She's been feeding off your doubt, your anxiety, your fear of losing someone who was never yours. She doesn't want your heart. She wants the keys to your confidence. So what's the knockout blow? Your indifference. Silence that screams louder than any love song. Your absence that hits harder than any gift you ever gave. Because when she realizes she's not the center of your universe, that the world spins just fine without her, that you're not groveling for a reply, she short-circuits. A woman who thrives on control doesn't know how to lose with grace. And that's when the tables turn. When her ignoring you doesn't get a reaction, it gets a disappearing act. And the man who ghosts without a script, without a meltdown, without a farewell post, he becomes her worst nightmare. Number 2, silence as a slow-acting poison. Silence is the most refined, lethal weapon a man can wield and the most underrated. Those who've never been hit by it think it's weak. Those who've felt it know it's torture in slow motion. When a man goes quiet, it's not peace, it's a death sentence. A cold-blooded emotional execution, no goodbye note, no smoke signals, no background music. And the cruelest part? Women aren't wired to handle it. A shout? She'll clap back. An insult? She'll brush it off. A long text? She'll screenshot it for her group chat. But silence? That's the glitch in her emotional matrix. The blackout in her one-woman show. Why? Because not knowing what a man feels is her kryptonite. It's like cutting off her Wi-Fi to manipulation. If she sees you mad, she thinks, cool, I still get under his skin. If you argue back, she relaxes. I'm still running the show. But when you ghost, when you treat her like a pop-up ad in the middle of your life's movie, she freezes. Your silence rips away the mirror where she saw her ego reflected. No feedback, no echo, no reaction. What's left is pure panic. And then the emotional autopsy begins. She scrolls through old texts, replays voice notes, revisits chats she used to ignore. She's analyzing your story like it's a crime scene, trying to figure out where she lost the plot. But there's no happy rerun. You didn't leave clues. You didn't make a scene. You didn't beg to stay. You just vanished. And for a woman who fed off your attention, that's starvation. She's out there with a plate full of nothing, faking a feast on social media. She expected drama. A groveling apology. A grand gesture from a guy still chasing the Hollywood ending. But what did she get? Silence. And silence, my friend, doesn't give a standing ovation to someone who lives for the spotlight. You didn't yell. You didn't block. You didn't write a single line of closure. And that's why she's crumbling inside, pasting on an emoji smile for the world. Because now, the only voice she hears is her own. And that voice is stuck on repeat, asking the question she never wanted to face. Did I really lose him for good? No filter, no I'm fine post, no forced laugh in a selfie can hide it. The poison's already spreading. And its name? The silence of a man she thought she had on lock. Number 3, when you don't respond, she writes her own script. She doesn't want the truth. She wants a screenplay. She wants to be the writer, director, and star of a drama where you're the extra begging for her attention. But then you commit the ultimate sin. You don't reply. You vanish. No monologue, no farewell, no sad acoustic track in the background. And just like that, her mind becomes a psychological thriller double feature. Paranoia and a shattered ego. Because a woman who's ignored doesn't take silence as an answer. She needs a script. She needs a reason. She needs a villain to avoid admitting the problem might be her. Since you're not giving her anything, not a crumb of reaction, she becomes her own screenwriter. It starts soft. Oh, he's probably playing hard to get. Then jealousy kicks in. Bet he's with someone else. Wounded pride screams he never really cared. And the grand finale, the ego in free fall. He lost a once-in-a-lifetime woman. All of it? Pure fiction. But emotional guesswork hits harder than a bank overdraft. It eats her up inside and no one sees. You disappeared and left her with her demons. Imaginary arguments, wild theories. Her phone's now a crystal ball. And what you didn't say, it's worth more than any love letter. Your silence becomes a cryptic code. Every notification that's not from you is a gut punch. She's trying to decode what you're saying with what you didn't say. You're gone, but she can't bury you because there's no body, no closure. And what doesn't end haunts. She stalks your Instagram like it's a sacred text, hunting for signs, miracles, or punishment. She posts cryptic captions, forces a smile, acts enlightened, but sleeps like crap. Eats less, laughs through gritted teeth. Because no matter how hard she pretends, her brain can't process that you just evaporated without a word. And when she claims she's over it in 48 hours, that's the pain you caused in silence, screaming too loud to admit out loud. Here's the beauty of the chaos. You didn't have to say a word. And still, you said everything. Now she's the one conjuring her own monsters, reliving every detail, suffering in silence. And you just stayed quiet. And in doing so, you unleashed total devastation. Number 4. The hypothetical reunion. Of course she comes back. They always do. Not out of love, not out of regret, but because your silence screams louder than her pride. When her head's a war zone of emotions, her fingers can't resist. Hey, you good? With that weak question mark, playing it cool but hiding a full-blown meltdown. That's not a casual text, that's an ego bleeding out, begging for your attention to stop the pain. And this is where the real game begins. Because how you respond now decides whether she respects you or uses you like before. The classic mistake of the emotionally starved guy. Grinning like an emoji. Hey, missed you. Congrats, you just handed her the leash again. You've confirmed you're tame, predictable, ready to be her lapdog again. Don't be that guy. That's the guy she remembers with a yawn, not regret. Your response needs to be surgical, clean, cold, no frills, no exclamation points, no questions, no hope. She ignored you like you're a flyer at a stoplight. Now treat her like she's a wrong number in your inbox, like emotional spam. Indifference is the new gold standard, and in this exchange, she's broke. No, how you holding up? No, thought I'd never hear from you again. Nah, you didn't think anything. You were too busy living a life that ran smoother without her drama. And that's the poison. When she sees your world didn't hit pause for her, she realizes the script's over and there's no role left for her. Because women don't miss love. They miss control. That certainty they could ghost and reappear on their terms. But when she comes back and finds a man who's ice cold, clear-headed, no longer starving for her validation, her illusion shatters. And she gets it. She didn't just lose a clingy guy. She lost the power she had over him. The hypothetical reunion is when she tries to reboot the soap opera, but finds a documentary. No romance, no drama, no audience. And that's when it hits her. It wasn't a game. It was goodbye. It wasn't pride. It was growth. And now, the one losing sleep is her. Number 5. The final play. Never explain yourself. Here's where 99% of guys trip over their own feet. When she comes back, they think they owe her an explanation for going ghost. They spill their feelings like it's a soap opera script. It was tough. I was confused. Needed some space. How touching. How sensitive. How worthy of a participation trophy. But we're not writing captions for sad selfies here. We're talking ego annihilation. Every explanation you give is a shovel tossing dirt on the last scraps of your dignity. She wants answers? Let her figure it out. Wants to know why you bailed? Perfect. Let her spend days cracking the code of your silence. At this point, your silence isn't just absence, it's a verdict. And verdicts don't get debated, they get delivered. A man who respects himself doesn't write apology notes. He doesn't need to. He stays quiet. He acts. He lets the void do the talking. Because every explanation is bait for her to yank your emotional leash again. One peep, and you're back to being her puppy. Worse yet, explaining sparks hope. Say, I ghosted because I was hurt, and her brain hears, he still loves me. Say, I needed space, and it translates to, come back, there's still room. You might think you're closing the book, but in her head you just greenlit another season, and who's writing the script? You, again. The only way to end it for real? Stay silent. Ice cold. No captions. No flashbacks. No sad playlist. She'll try to bait you, of course. She'll hit you with that rehearsed line. You could have at least been man enough to say something. It's the perfect trap. She wants to drag you back to her drama stage. To her, being a man means bearing your soul so she can toy with it and walk away empowered. But you're not falling for it. Being a man in this game? It's ignoring the bait. It's keeping your guard up against recycled emotional speeches. It's staying on your throne with the coldness of someone who knows dignity isn't up for negotiation. Because when you don't explain, she has nothing to grip onto, no certainty, no control, just the one thing every woman hates: doubt. And that doubt will gnaw at her ego daily. It'll erode her pride. It'll turn into poison. And the best part? She'll drink it herself, sip by sip, until she accepts she lost. And she lost big. Number 6. You don't ghost to be missed. You ghost to be unforgettable. Let's spell it out. No sugarcoating. A guy who ghosts to spark jealousy is still chained up, shackled to the need for her approval, playing in her emotional sandbox, thinking a stage selfie with a fake smile is revenge. That's not ghosting. That's throwing a tantrum with a filter. It's desperation dressed up as cool. And guess what? Desperation, filtered or not, still reeks. You don't ghost to be missed. You ghost to be unforgettable. And that only happens when your disappearance is real. No script. No cryptic posts about moving on. No gym selfies screaming, "Look how great I'm doing." The ghosting that leaves a mark comes from within. It's born from the brutal realization that your worth doesn't need an audience. And when that silence hits, oh man, that's when she starts searching. Because now you're not just gone, you're a void. A ghost that lingers. An echo. Here's the thing. Women know the difference. They can spot a guy faking a disappearance versus one who's truly vanished. The first guy's just needy with a schedule posting shady captions, watching her stories incognito, liking old pics like he's yelling, "I'm still here." The second guy? He doesn't even remember her name. Because he's not trying to stir the pot. He doesn't need to. He's gone. And that's what makes him impossible to erase. The mistake most guys make? They ghost expecting a standing ovation. They disappear waiting for a dramatic comeback. They vanish thinking she'll chase them with a movie soundtrack swelling. And when she doesn't react on their timeline, they crawl back with the classic excuse, "I needed to clear my head." Clear what, champ? You had the silence and fumbled it. Because ghosting isn't about faking indifference, it's about not needing to fake anything. And the cruel irony? It's when you truly don't plan on coming back that she shows up. Why? Because women only miss a man they thought was a sure thing. And when that man exits the stage, no warning, no drama, no goodbye, he becomes a scar. The kind that stings when she sees another guy try to fill your shoes. The kind she hides but carries. The kind she'll never explain. You're not a footnote. You're the chapter she rereads alone, choking on her own pride. All because you realized what 99% haven't. Ghosting isn't payback, it's growth. And a man who grows never goes back to the emotional cage he broke out of. Number 7. The man who stays silent heals. You burned way too much energy trying to be heard by someone who only wanted to shut you up. Trying to be seen by someone who used your presence as emotional decor. Trying to explain your feelings to someone who, at best, replied with a dry emoji, if she replied at all. And now you're drained, right? Of course you are. Because a man who begs for acceptance from someone who's already checked out isn't living, he's surviving, fading a little more with every seen but ignored message, like your pain's just background noise. But then, one day, it clicks. You realize staying silent isn't giving up. It's recovery. It's intensive care for your self-worth. It's emotional surgery without anesthesia, performed with the scalpel of silence. The man who goes quiet finally hears himself. He stops being an extra in a soap opera where the star only performs for applause, stops debating with someone who only knows how to manipulate. He cuts off the validation channel and tunes into peace. And what does he find? Freedom, clarity, a silence that doesn't weigh him down at heels. Because when you stop reacting to disrespect, you start shielding yourself from it. You realize you don't need to beg for a seat at a table where you've already been kicked out. And in that moment, you're reborn. And here's the universe's little twist. While you're healing in silence, she's suffocating in her own echo. Because now she has no drama of yours to dissect with her friends. No desperate text to pretend she didn't see. No open heart to toy with like she's playing God. All she's got is nothing. A void she dug herself. And that void isn't quiet. It screams. Screams every time she realizes you didn't come back. Didn't beg. Didn't fall for the trap of explaining yourself. While you rediscover your sanity, she's stuck replaying her mistakes. While you find the peace of owing no one anything, she's grappling with the panic of losing someone she thought was guaranteed. And the worst part? She doesn't even know how it happened. Because to her, a man only goes silent when he's weak. She doesn't get that sometimes. Silence is the loudest show of strength. And the best part of it all? You don't have to prove a thing. No need to post, to send a message, to look like you're thriving. Just keep quiet. Because the man who stays silent saves himself. And the woman who thought noise was power, she'll drown in the echo of her own emptiness. Number 8, the brutal finale. She ignored you with the confidence of someone who thought you were just another extra in her emotional blockbuster. The guy who begs, who chases, who asks what went wrong, like he's pleading for scraps with a bouquet in hand. She thought your love was a chain, your presence a lifetime warranty, your heart just another toy kicked around but always bouncing back with a smile. But now she's learned the hard way. Learned that you were the only one who actually cared. The only one who saw her as a woman, not a trophy. And she threw it away, like forgetting a Wi-Fi password. Lost access to the one guy who saw value, where now there's only a performance. Today, all she's got is the echo, the emptiness, the silence. But not just any silence. It's the surgical kind. The brutal absence of a man she swore would crawl back, but who vanished like he finally saw his own worth. And that silence? It's a wound to her ego, a scar on her vanity, a daily reminder that she had it all and lost it all. No scene, no tantrum, no plea for attention. You didn't need to yell. You just stopped trying to be heard by someone who thought silence was a game. Now, while she fakes moving on in her posts, her soul's on high alert. Because a woman who ignores is never ready to be ignored. She expects a novel-length text, a blowout fight, a reaction. And what did she get? The one thing that obliterates the ego of someone who lives for control. Indifference. You didn't become an ex. You became a lesson. The kind that stings, that scars, that she pretends to forget. But her body remembers. And the worst part? She can't even tell anyone. Because admitting she lost someone who left without a sound hurts her pride too much. Burn this into your brain. You don't get revenge by responding. You get it by staying silent. You don't destroy by shouting. You destroy by disappearing. Because a woman who banked on your desperation is never ready for your silence. And the man who stays quiet? He doesn't lose. He leaves a mark. He haunts. He becomes a scar, one that doesn't fade. It itches. It burns. It shows up when nostalgia reigns. If this truth hit you hard, good. It was supposed to. And if you used to be the guy who begged, but now you're silent with the coldness of someone who's healed, drop this in the comments. I didn't disappear, I healed. That's not just a comment. It's a ritual, a closing, a burial of humiliation. It's the start of your loudest silence. And remember, if you feel it, stay quiet. If she comes back, ignore her. If you vanished, stay gone. This is Alpha Authority. Pain becomes strategy, and silence becomes your weapon.